Meanwhile, the big four banks will face a fresh investigation into potential price gouging after failing to pass on repeated interest rate cuts in full. Live now to political reporter Eliza Edwards. And Eliza, what will the focus of this new probe be?
Well, Annalise, the Treasurer has asked the ACCC to investigate why the big four banks have failed to pass on 3 rate cuts from the Reserve Bank this year. So far, the Reserve Bank has cut rates by a cumulative 0.75%. NAB has passed on just 0.59% of the cuts, while CommBank and ANZ passed on just 0.57%. Westpac customers copped the worst deal, receiving a rate cut of just 0.55%. Josh Frydenberg says there needs to be more transparency around pricing practices.
I think, Laura, the Australian people are sick and tired of the merry dance where the Reserve Bank reduces the cash rate, the politicians and the bank itself call on the big four to pass on the rate cuts to their customers, and that advice is ignored. And ultimately, it's the consumers who are worse off.
If the RBA's rate cuts had been passed on to customers in full, someone on a $400,000 mortgage would have saved $500 a year on the interest payments. The government says it will consider further action against the banks, but Labor says this latest inquiry is too little too late.
12 months ago, in fact in June last year, they received a report from the Productivity Commission looking at competition within the banking and finance industry. They have been sitting on it for 12 months. The problems are clear, and yet the government is doing nothing. Spooked into action because Labor's putting a bit of pressure on them. It's really a case of too little too late.
And Eliza, we're back for a sitting week of Parliament, but it's kicked off with a bit of a stuff up from the Prime Minister's office that's made our job pretty easy this week.
That's right, Annalise. Spare a thought for the person in PMO who sent out all 16 pages of the government's talking points for today. So a bit of light reading for MPs and for journalists as well. They cover sensitive issues like the Medivac laws, which will be debated this week. Coalition MPs are directed to say that processes for medical transfers already exist and are effective. The repeal of the Miscellaneous Measures Act does not remove the ability to medically transfer a transitory person to Australia. Another issue is the defence of Liberal MP Gladys Liu over her links to Chinese Communist Party associations. MPs are told to say that Miss Liu has spent a considerable amount of time reviewing her association with community organisations. With nearly 1,000 Chinese organisations alone, it has been a lengthy task. After an audit, Miss Liu has cleared herself of any further connections to CCP-linked organisations. Annalise?